Alright guys, let's talk about the death card. This is the card nobody likes. But that's okay because we know that it doesn't actually mean physical death, it means change and it means transformation, right? The death card means an end of a cycle. So we're just going into the archetype of what death means. It's not the literal meaning of death. So the death card is all about letting go of the past. It's about discarding things that no longer are working for you. It's about letting go of things not serving you, things that are holding you back. This could be, depending on the reading, things that you are physically holding on to, right? It could be things in your environment that you no longer need. It could mean you need to like clean your house. It could mean thoughts and feelings that you are continuing to engage in and think about that you no longer need to. It could be emotional patterns, right? It could be anything that is unhealthy, anything that is clogging up your energy, anything that doesn't need to be in your field anymore, that is stopping you from living fully, that is stopping you from being fully in life, right? Fully, what is the word I'm looking for? Fully strong and in your body and full of life force and needing to move forward. So what this is, what the death card is showing you is it's the end of a cycle, it's time to let this thing go, it's time to close the door, it's time to move on, right? No more engaging in this negativity, no more engaging in this behavior that I don't need to do anymore, or these types of relationships, or this type of job, or this type of whatever, right? It's time to be like, okay, that's over, right? Like, we're done here, and it's time to move on. So this card is about transition, change, moving on, moving forward, letting go of what no longer serves you, closing that door and opening up the next door and moving through, right? Like, it's about transition. It's about the end of the cycle so you can bring in the new cycle. So this is something I do want to highlight. It's pretty hard to bring in the new cycle when you don't let go of the old stuff, right? So this has a gigantic white rose on it, and traditionally there is a white rose, although not always. And what that means to me is, like, the white rose is new life, right? It's vibrancy, it's vitality, it's bringing in the new, right? And what allows the new to come in is the fact that you let go of the old, right? If you have all this stuff that's clogging up your energy, you're not going to have space for new things, okay? So on a deeper level, this card feels to me like letting go of things from the previous version of you, right? So we are constantly kind of metaphorically dying and being reborn all of the time, right? Like, the person you are now is not the person that you were 5 years ago. So the you that you are now, like, does different things and behaves a different way and thinks differently, and quite frankly also has different things in your house than you might have had 5 years ago, right? So in a certain way, like, you are reborn, like, you are a new person compared to who you were before. So something that the death card asks you to look at and to consider and to notice is that, where am I new inside, and then what am I still holding on mentally, emotionally, energetically, or physically that isn't a match to the new version of me that I am, right? This card is saying, hey, it's time to let go of that crap, right? Like, that stuff you've had in your car that you need to take to Goodwill, like, freaking let it go and move on, right? That anger and resentment that you've been holding on to your boyfriend to your previous boyfriend for like a year, or girlfriend, you know, it's time to let that go and, like, freaking move on. Cut the cords, release the anger, release the resentment, forgive that other person, and move merrily along, because it's time to go, right? It's time to go. The Grim Reaper is here. Let's go, right? It's time to transition. And the Grim Reaper shows up, or at least he's the archetype of showing up to help people transition from one phase to another. So, you know, in the archetype energy of that, what that means is, like, it's the energetic sign from the universe, like, hey, it's time to drop all this crap you've been holding on to, and it's time to move on. Like, what are you doing? Like, let's go, right? Like, drop the crap, drop the story, drop the anger, drop the resentment, drop it and move on, okay? So that's the primary thing that I feel from this card. The other thing that the death card can mean is a lot of times death can feel out of our control. And so this card can also mean like things happening beyond our control, or they feel like things are happening beyond our control and things have to end, right? Like you didn't consciously end it, something ended it for you. So another person ended something for you, or some sort of like general situation in life ended things for you, or something happened in the economy and then that ended up ending something for you. So this card can also mean some sort of, it can also mean that emotionally it felt to you like something outside of your circumstances or outside of your control ended something for you, and like it made you feel a little bit like, oh my goodness, like I was completely at the mercy of that. I wasn't able to change that, right? What is not in energetic alignment with the new version of you, because in order to bring in the new, of course, you've got to let go of the old. So let's move into the energy of the Death card reversed. The Death card reversed feels to me like resisting the inevitable, right? Like you're dragging and kicking your feet and you're like, no, I don't want to do that, or like, no, that's not happening, or you're like, la 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 la, when really it is happening and you're just not seeing it and you're not acknowledging it, and you're just like, oh, I'm just going to pretend this isn't happening, right? So that it can be some sort of denial to change, resistance to change, reluctance to see, right? Continuing to just pretend that something isn't happening that you don't like and you don't want to look at, okay? The other thing that comes up for me with the Death card reversed is, you know, your inability to acknowledge what is actually happening is what is stopping you, right? Like the fact that you won't look at the situation, or you won't look at the relationship, or you won't look at what's wrong, or you won't acknowledge like your feelings, or your belief structure, or how you're contributing to the situation in some way, you know, that is actually what's stopping you. And that's the thing that you need to let go of. And if you let go of that resistance to change, the resistance to the transition, if you let go of the fear in going into the new, then you would fully go into new and it would be much easier. So it really, like the Death card upside down really feels like some sort of resistance or stagnancy to transition, right? Because the card right side up is about moving on, letting go, transition, like let's go to the new thing, let's drop this old crap so we can go to the new stuff. Right, and so the opposite of that would be, well, you're resisting going to the new. You're trying to stall. You're not seeing. You're in denial. You're having a bunch of issues, and you're not acknowledging how you're contributing to not transitioning. How you're contributing to the fact that the situation isn't changing, or the fact that the relationship isn't changing, or the fact that, you know, you haven't gotten that new job. Well, you haven't gotten it because you haven't looked, or you haven't decided that you're going to do it. Like you haven't put the things into motion, right? So whereas when the Death card is upright, it feels like, well, circumstances and events outside of my control a little bit. When the card is the opposite, it's like, no, it's you, right? Like you're the one who's being, you know, stubborn, and you're the one who's not allowing the transition to happen, right? So it's like, drop the resistance and let yourself go into the new, okay?